The third section, Buddhism. First, introduction of Buddhism into China. As we all know, Buddha Sakyamuni was born in ancient India in the 6th century BC. He lived about the same time as Confucius. Sakyamuni established Buddhism. Now look at the picture. There are 5 people who were the bodyguards of Sakyamuni. And these 5 bodyguards became his first followers, which was the symbol of establishment of Buddhism. About 200 years after the passing away of Sakyamuni in the Qing and Western Han dynasties, Buddhism had already been brought to various countries in Central Asia and the Xinjiang area of today. There were many small countries along the Silk Road in Xinjiang province at that time, and they had contacts with the Han dynasty through business, diplomacy, and even wars. Buddhism was introduced to China along the Silk Road. Look at the picture. This red part means Chang'an City, which was the capital of China. And this big red spot was a very big gate. This area was Xinjiang province today, but in ancient times there were many countries, like Qiuci, Wusun. This is the Silk Road. There is the Central Asia. And this is Roma. So Buddhism spread to the Central Asia, to the Xinjiang province, and finally get to China. The earliest record we can see now is that in 2 BC, the king of Dayue sent a diplomat, Yi Cun, who was a Buddhist, to Chang'an, the capital of China at that time. He taught Buddhist knowledge to a Chinese official named Jinglu. Buddhism was also introduced to China via the Southern Road, which was through Southeast Asia. Now look at the map. This is India, and this is Sri Lanka. The road is like this, through Sri Lanka and Singapore. And there is Vietnam. There is Hainan province. There is Guangzhou city. When Buddhism was first introduced into China, it was only accepted by a small number of people, and not by the upper class of the society. It was in the early Eastern Han Dynasty when Buddhism became widely accepted by the elite class. Liu Ying, Prince of Chu, adopted the Buddhist beliefs and installed Buddha statues in his palace for worship. Liu Zhuang, the Emperor Mingdi of the Eastern Han Dynasty, was said to have had a dream one night of man with a golden body rising up in the sky. After waking up, he asked his ministers who that deity could be. Someone told him that must be Buddha to the west of China. Hence, Emperor Ming dispatched envoys to the west to study Buddhism and brought back Buddha statues. According to the historical records, Emperor Ming dispatched officials to Dayue-zhi, which was in the Central Asia, brought back Buddhist scriptures and statues, along with 2 Buddhist monks. Kasyapa, Matanga, and Dhammarata. A temple was built for the 2 monks in Luoyang, because these monks came to Luoyang on white horses. Hence, the temple was named the White Horse Temple, which was said to be the earliest Buddhist temple in China. Until today, the White Horse Temple is very famous in China. The extant Chinese translation of Buddhist sutras is a sutra of 42 chapters translated by the 2 Buddhist monks. During the Southern and Northern dynasties, more than 1,000 temples were built in the city in Luoyang. In the same period, in the capital city of Jiankang, it also is Nanjing, Jiangsu province today. There were more than 700 temples in the region ruled by the Southern Liang dynasty. This is Jiming Temple, and this is Qixia Temple. Qixia Temple has a very beautiful scene. And this is the Gaoming Temple in Yangzhou City. It is also very famous today. One had to leave behind worldly life and receive tonsure to join the monastic life. Such practices were against the traditional Chinese values of filial piety. That was why the earliest Buddhist monks in China all came from Central Asia and India. The Chinese believers were the so-called lay Buddhists, and they practiced at home. According to the traditional Chinese culture, people should stay with their parents and take care of the parents very well. It was not until the end of the Eastern Han Dynasty and the Three Kingdoms period when some Chinese natives took up monkhood. The first was said to be Zhu Shixing. After that, more and more Chinese natives became monks. Some chose to become monks not because of their beliefs, but because they were poor and could not survive any longer. They chose to become monks in temples so that they could avoid military service and hard labor. In the final years of the Northern Wei dynasty, there were more than 2 million monks nationwide, with the total population in the country being 35 million. This situation caused some conflicts between Buddhism and the government. After the Eastern Han Dynasty, the translation of Buddhist sutras and the quest to the Western regions and India for more Buddhist sutras were the important tasks for the Chinese monks. Zhu Shixing and Fa Xian were among the Buddhist monks in the quest to the west. Journey to the west is not a very good trip, which had many difficulties on the road, such as desert, the cold, starving, and also they had to cross the snow-capped mountains. Maybe they had to cross the cliff. So many people died on the road. The most famous one would be Xuanzang, a monk in the Tang Dynasty. Xuanzang was a knowledgeable and strong-willed man. In his studies, Xuanzang found that Buddhist materials translated into Chinese were often inadequate. Hence, he set out from Chang'an for India. He overcame tremendous difficulties and, after 17 years, with more than 20,000 kilometers on the road, he was able to obtain more than 600 sets of scriptures. Xuanzang's journey caused quite a stir in the Tang Dynasty. After he returned to China, he spent more than 20 years translating them into Chinese. Xuanzang's efforts had had a far-reaching impact on Buddhism in China. This is one translating which named Heart Sutra. It is very famous to the Buddhists. Its significance has gone beyond the scope of Buddhism and has become a major event in the history of cultural exchanges between China and foreign countries. Second, Buddhist doctrines, Chan or Zen Buddhism, and Buddhist attractions. To those people who are in constant pain and defilement, Buddhist doctrines are quite attractive. That the world is impermanent and life is transcendent represents the basic view of Buddhism on the world and is the starting point of Buddhist thought. Impermanence means ever-changing. In Buddhism, it is believed that everything in the world is created out of the law of conditioned origination. When conditions change, relevant things will change accordingly. For example, like this flower, it is blooming very well, but one day everything will disappear. So everything is in the circle of birth and death, namely impermanence. Nothing lasts forever. Hence, they are illusory and are not real. Life is the same. All things happening in our life, success, joy, failure, pain, even the process of birth, aging, illness, and death, are results of the aggregation of conditions, and are illusory and not real. People in the real world are in pain all the time because they have either been deceived or they have started to have all kinds of desires which could not be satisfied. This picture is very interesting. It tells us that why we are suffering, because the man have too many desires, like a beautiful woman, a lot of money, the power, and so on. To eliminate the pain and defilement in life, one must have a fundamental understanding of the impermanent nature of the world. With this understanding, one could eliminate desires and get out of the restraints of pain and defilement. This picture is about the circle of birth and death. There are 6 patterns of life. One can practice good and eliminate evil and deliver oneself out of the samsara, the circle of life and death, that is Nibbana. In order to spread widely in China, Buddhism had adapted itself to suit the Chinese society and culture. It has developed some new doctrines and practices to meet the needs of different social groups. As a result, many schools emerged. After the Tang and Song dynasties, the influence of the Pure Land school and the Chan school exceeded that of other schools. The word Chan means quiet sitting and silent chanting. a method or practice in Indian Buddhism. After being introduced to China, full theoretical system and practice methods had been developed. It is generally believed that Chan was established with the Indian monk Bodhidharma as its first patriarch. There are many stories about Bodhidharma. Look at this one. It is said that Bodhidharma crossed the Changjiang River with a reed. And this, after crossing the Changjiang River, Bodhidharma got to Songshan Mountain, and he kept quiet sitting for 9 years. The Chan school saw its greatest glory in the Tang Dynasty, when Master Huineng, the sixth patriarch, promoted the easy methods of practices suitable to the common people in China. This picture is about Master Huineng's body, which is protected in Guangdong province. The Chan school is a most representative example of the localization of Buddhism in China. It advocates the idea that Buddhahood depends not upon articles and characters, but points directly to the heart of man and sees into one's own nature. It believes that every person has the brute nature in his heart. When the right conditions appear, he will be enlightened by the doctrines and achieve Buddhahood. The Chan school does not require the practitioners to recite Buddhist scriptures or follow the complex precepts. Your heart is the Buddha, and everyone could achieve Buddhahood with sudden enlightenment. A practitioner with faith and reliance on his inner Buddha nature could achieve Buddhahood. That is very attractive to the devotees. Hence, the Chan school developed rapidly in China and soon was introduced to Korea and Japan.
观自在菩萨，心生般若波罗蜜多时，照见五蕴皆空，度一切苦厄。 一色，色即是空，空即是色。受想行识亦复如是。舍利子，是诸法空相不生不灭，不垢不净不增不减，是故空中无色，无受想行识，无眼耳鼻舌身意，无色声香味触法，无眼界乃至无意识界，无明亦无明界，乃至无老死亦无老死尽，无苦集灭道，无智亦无得，一无所得故，菩提萨埵依般若波罗蜜多故，悉无挂碍。无挂碍故，无有恐怖，远离颠倒梦想，究竟涅槃。三世诸佛依般若波罗蜜多故，得阿耨多罗三藐三菩提。故知般若波罗蜜多，是大神咒，是大明咒，是无上咒，是无等等咒，能除一切苦，真实不虚。故说般若波罗蜜多咒，今说咒曰：揭谛揭谛，波罗揭谛，波罗僧揭谛，菩提萨婆诃。
Buddhism has a great influence on China's philosophy, literature, and art. Many places of interest have become related to Buddhism. For example, the Leshan Giant Buddha, 70 meters high, is a giant statue chiseled out of a hill for a magnificent and imposing look. It took 90 years to complete the project in the Tang Dynasty. The three grottos, namely Yungang, Dunhuang, and Longmen, all housing large-scale Buddhist statues, are of great artistic value. As we can see from this picture, this is a statue in Longmen Grottos. It is very, very amusing. The fourth section, Other non-native religions. Islam. In the early years of the Tang Dynasty, Islam was introduced into China. During the Tang and Song dynasties, a large number of Arab businessmen came to China and settled in the then capital of China, as well as in some large port cities along the coast, such as Yangzhou City in Jiangsu Province now, Quanzhou City in Guangdong Province now, Quanzhou City in Fujian Province now, and Guangzhou City in Guangdong Province now, thus forming their Arab neighborhoods. Mosques were built in their neighborhoods for their own convenience of worshipping. Public ceremonies also appeared nearby. They and their descendants were the earliest Muslims in China. During the rule of Genghis Khan and Kublai Khan in the 13th century, in their western expeditions, the Mongols forced some Muslims from the Central and West Asia to China's inland. These Muslims later settled down and married the local people. They gradually formed the Hui ethnic group. Islam has a certain impact on the Chinese culture, with the Arab culture being introduced to China, including astronomy, mathematics, medicine, etc. In addition, the Hui people have also made great contributions to China's development in history. Zheng He, famous explorer and diplomat of the Ming Dynasty, was a member of the Hui ethnic group. Now we can see the trip of Zheng He to the West Ocean. It was recorded that he set off from Nanjing City along with the coast. There is Singapore, Sri Lanka, India, Arab, and Africa. The introduction of Islam also brought with it the Islamic architecture. The Huaisheng Memory of the Saint Mosque built in the Tang Dynasty in Guangzhou. This picture is about 100 years ago. Second, Christianity. Second, Christianity. Christianity originated in the Roman Empire in about the 1st century. An order of Christianity, Jin region, was introduced to China in the early Tang Dynasty from Persia, and was granted permission to be preached in China. In today's Xi'an, capital city of Shanxi province, one could find a stone stele with inscriptions on it. The Great Qing Jin religion popular in China. In the 13th century, Catholicism was brought back to China in Genghis Khan's western expeditions and called Yearly Khan, which was believed to be a transliteration of the word Catholicism in the Greek language. With the demise of the Yuan dynasty, the religion of Yearly Khan disappeared. In the late Ming Dynasty, Catholicism re-entered China. Jesuit missionaries such as Matthew Ricci and John Adam Shaw Bell made great efforts to promote Catholicism. This is a picture about Matthew Ricci and a Chinese official named Xu Guangqi. They both promoted the exchange of Western and Chinese culture. Matthew Ricci brought a world map to the emperor of Ming Dynasty. In the Qing Dynasty, the Pope issued a ban due to the right controversy, and Emperor Kangxi also banned Catholicism in China, resulting in another standstill in the development of Christianity in China. It was after the Opium War that the Western countries forced the Qing government to open its door, and Catholicism and Protestantism entered China again. The development of Christianity in China promoted the cultural exchanges between China and the West. The fifth section, current situation of religions in China. China is a country with many faiths. The Chinese citizens can choose freely and express their beliefs and religious identities. The Chinese people mainly believe in Buddhism, Taoism, Islam, Catholicism, and Protestantism. There are about 300,000 religious clergymen, more than 3,000 religious groups, and 74 religious colleges. More than 17,000 religious people have been elected as members of the National People's Congress and members of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. The religious policy of the Chinese government includes: first, freedom of religious belief. Second, the state administers the religious affairs according to law. Third, all religions shall adhere to the principle of maintaining their independence. Fourth, and all religions are to be actively directed to adapt to the socialist society. Freedom of religious belief means that every citizen has the freedom to believe in or not to believe in any religion. Every citizen has the freedom to believe in one religion or another religion. Every citizen has the freedom to believe in one sect or another sect in any religion. Every citizen has the freedom not to believe in any religion in the past, and the freedom to believe in that religion now. Every citizen has the freedom to believe in a religion in the past, and the freedom not to believe in that religion now. The state administers religious affairs according to law. The government shall lawfully administer religious affairs involving national interests and social public interests. The purpose of the administration is to protect the legitimate rights and interests of religious circles and normal religious activities, and to stop and combat illegal and criminal activities using the name of a religion, and to prevent and resist the infiltration of foreign forces using religions. This is very important. We should know that foreigners in China should note that The Chinese laws stipulate that collective religious activities of religious citizens should generally be held in registered places of religious activities. For example, Buddhist temples, Taoist temples, mosques, churches, and other fixed religious venues. No organizations or individuals may conduct missionary activities outside religious places. For example, in schools, shopping malls, etc. No religious facilities or religious shall be set up in public places without approval. At last, thanks for your attention. Wish you enjoy yourself every day. Good luck. Bye.